Hello, everybody. We are doing our Dojo Talks Top 10 predictions. Last year, we made a prediction as to who would be in the top 10 here in June 2026. We're going to see how we did, who won, and then we're going to make a prediction about 2026. And it's pretty exciting. We're going to talk about our prejudices, what we got right, what we got wrong. And you guys want to start us off, or should I?
Um, no, let's I guess start with the current top 10.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And then
So
I don't quite know how we're going to score these other than by just kind of optically looking at them.
yeah, I don't think there's an easy mathematical way. And honestly, when I was looking at it in preparation, I thought we were pretty close to each other. I mean, not necessarily to the answer. Maybe somebody in chat guessed better than us, but I feel like our predictions were not markedly better or worse than each other's. But we'll discuss that in a moment. I'll just read out the top 10 list for June
Okay.
for reference. So the actual top 10 list in June was number one, Magnus Carlsen, as predicted by all of us. Number two, Hikaru Nakamura. Number three, Arjun Erigaisi. Number four, Fabiano Caruana. Number five, Gukesh. Number six, Abdusattorov. Number seven, Prague. Number eight, Firouzja. Number nine, Wei Yi. And number 10, Nepo. Those were the official June ratings that
Okay.
we had attempted to predict.
So, okay, yeah, actually looking at me and Jesse's list, it's very similar, except he put Nihal Sarin and I put Vincent Keimer, and neither of them made it.
Yeah.
And it was Wei Yi instead. Keimer actually, I feel like is basically at the same spot he was last year in terms of FIDE rating, like 27-30. But Nihal Sarin actually did go a lot up.
Mm.
Um, not nearly enough to get into the top 10. I think that was an insane pick, to be honest. But he did actually uh, rise rise to the top, which is or to he did rise quite a bit, which is cool.
Right.
But he did win the Asian individual championships.
Okay, so I'll just say of my top 10, I had him at number 10. That was my wild card pick. And it's going to be a similar situation this time around because there's a bunch of juniors, and I think somebody of those juniors, they're not even close to it yet, but by this time next year, I believe one of them will make it. So expect another name like that,
That's
somebody
the
I
wild
think is going
card.
to make it higher. Yeah.
Let's start with the thing that you both did best, which is guessing that Furusha would get into the top 10. In
Mm.
my opinion, that was the best, individual prediction of any prediction last year. You each predicted him to make it into the top 10 at number seven, which was a little bit ambitious, but you had the right feeling. He was number eight on the list. And that was, again, like you were trying to predict two people dropping out of the top 10. You guys were thinking that Wesley So and Anand would drop out of the top 10. You were right on both counts. And then you tried to pick who would come up. You nailed Faruja, who was a more plausible person to guess. And then you each made sort of a wild card. Kostia's wild card was like a mild wild card. A junior about 20 points away. Um, and Sarin was a wild card.
The other
So I
thing that
think
me and
Ruta Wright was great.
the other thing that me and um, Kostya got right was that we guessed that Nepo would fall, and we both had him falling to 9, and
Mhm.
he's at 10 now. So that
Yep.
was amazing. That was amazingly well done.
Yeah, I mean, we all predicted that Nepo would sort of go down a little bit
Yeah.
after the disappointment of that candidates, and like for him, he was really trying to compete for the world championship, and if he's not competing for the world championship, then not only is Jesse not watching him, but he himself doesn't quite care as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, we predicted a little slide for him. Um, and you guys also correctly predicted a slide for So and Anand. They didn't play very much and they didn't lose a ton of points, right? They just lost like 10 points each or whatever. But it was enough for someone to overtake them.
So we should just say David had So at 9 and Anand at 10. And in the inner workings of Dojoville, there was a long time where Anand was holding on to this 10th place. and David was making fun of us and saying, "See, I was right." And he was like playing one Bundesliga game, every three
Yeah.
months or something like that. But time eventually caught up to the old man, and now he's fallen. He's at
Yeah, he played two
15.
he played two games in the same weekend at some point
Hmm.
Yeah.
in late winter, early spring, and lost a chunk of points. Sadly, I mean, I was basically one weekend away from him making it, guys. It was close. He just needed to win one of those games that weekend.
Well, we've been talking about, I've been thinking about Naka, and we've been talking about Naka, but Naka is 37, which is old man for this level of chess now.
Yeah.
And Wesley So is only 31.
Yeah.
And so it is weird. I don't know if lost the fire or what, but yeah,
Mhm.
he's not there anymore. I mean, so let's just say he's been top 10, I don't know, 15 years. He's been there for a long time.
But it's been like 5 years that he just shows up, offers draws, and takes a paycheck. So, his rating has been sliding gradually from 2820 down to
Mhm, mhm.
2790, 2780, 2770. So, I mean, I didn't disagree with you guys that he was going to slide a little bit. I just think there's such inertia on the FIDE ratings. And with the Blitz events and the online events and the Chess 960 events, people are playing less and less classical games, some of them, right? And so I was just thinking, that he and Anand might just coast by. And I wasn't certain who was going to come up. I looked at the candidates of who could come up into the top 10 a year ago, and I looked at Firouzja and Magsudlu and Kamer and one or two others, and I just wasn't convinced that anybody was going to make the big move. Because at the time they needed, like 20 or 30 points to catch up, and that's what Firouzja made. I mean, he made 30 points in a year. That's a lot. It's a lot. So you guys, I think, get a lot of credit for calling that one. It's not like he just had to win two games somewhere.
Well, let's talk about it briefly too. I mean, one of the crazy things about Firouzja is he was reached number two in the world. In my estimation, a lot of the problem had to do with moving to Paris and becoming a little too fancy, right? Losing, but I mean, that kid was amazing. I don't know about everybody, but there was
Yeah, yeah,
consensus that he was going to be the next world champion. So
yeah.
I don't know what's going on with him now, but me and Costa were definitely like, well, there's a kind of reversion to the mean thing that's inevitable as long as he
Right.
doesn't stop playing.
Yeah, I think there was the candidates event where Magnus was calling for him, and we predicted the candidates tournament, and we each had him in the top two, basically. Like we expected him to be like first or second, and that was also like the apex for Rapport and Duda. And then none of those three newcomers in the candidates did that well against the veterans, and they all slid down quite a bit after that.
Um, Another one that I got, let's say, kind of wrong is I put Gukesh at number two, and I put Naka falling. Now, Naka did not
Yeah.
fall simply because he didn't play. He validated himself in Norway, right? But that was after June 1st, we're talking about. And let's just talk about why I was wrong. I think it's kind of interesting. At the time, we knew that he was going to play Ding, and I suspected there was going to be a rating feast where Gukesh was going to destroy Ding and then thus, gain a gazillion points. That, of course, didn't happen.
Yeah. In fact, he probably lost rating
Yeah,
points while winning
yeah, he did
the match,
lose.
right?
Yeah.
Because the guy was so low.
Yeah, I also thought Naka would go down basically just by playing more. He did play some. He played like American Cup and stuff. But yeah, no, amazing that he stayed at number two. I thought Noterbeck would shoot up because he shoots up all the time.
Mhm.
He did not, at least
On the
not
Naka
yet.
topic, he gained points. Like he's just been consistently going up slowly because he doesn't play that much, but he's continued going up.
Quick timeout here. Did you know that the dojo is an incredible site with tactics, a database, a community of people trying to improve, a training program? All of this is going on at our site. So go check it out. ChessDojo.club. Hit the link in the description.
Um,
Yeah, 2807 for Naka right now is
yeah.
very, very decent.
So
But it's kind of
I
cool,
found
like the veterans held on, like Naka, Fabi.
They held on by not playing, you know? They held on by not playing.
Fabi's still playing and playing with fire. Naka, you could say held on, except his version of holding on is going up, which is kind of weird, right? Normally, holding on is playing not that many games and only dropping 1 point or 2 points at a time. But he just keeps going up, making you wonder if he played more, if he just wouldn't go up more.
Yeah.
Hard to say. But yeah, to me, you guys each sort of, I mean, you get a lot of credit for getting Firouzja right, but you each kind of lose half a point for predicting such a tank for Naka. And then Jesse, you thought it would be a surge for Gukesh, and Kosta, you thought a surge for Abdusattorov, and neither of them particularly went up on the rating list, right?
Which I want to say, I was very surprised that Abdu didn't go up higher.
Mm-hmm.
Very surprised.
Right, you also had him going up a few ranks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I thought that. I mean, I still think that kid's gonna do well. He's still gonna play high on my list.
I kept him at number 6, and he stayed exactly at number 6. It's tough competition up there. There's some other good ones. Like when I try to make my list for next year as well, we have to ask the same questions, right? Is Abdusattorov going to pass Gukesh, or is Gukesh going to pass Eric Icy, or et cetera, right? It's not easy to make these decisions. Or is Prague going to pass them all, right? Like there's only so much room for that much talent.
Well, should we move on then to our predictions?
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
Does either of you feel like you want to claim that you won the prediction for this year? Because I just felt like it was close.
I thought you won, dude, because you had Nakamura in second, and Fabi in third, and Gukesh in fourth, which is like remarkably close to close to what happened. You were only really failing with So and Anand at the bottom, which to me, in terms of the prediction, is less relevant than the top.
Oh, I see. I thought that you guys just getting Firouzja equalized it.
Okay, we'll call it equal then. We'll call it equal.
That's like to me, that's the harder question almost, but
I would have claimed victory in your place.
You would have. Okay. Good to know. I mean, I can feel like a little bit good about that, knowing that someone else would want to be in my place.
Yeah, you definitely got like the top 6, let's say, more correct.
Yeah.
Which is more interesting. Okay, yeah, shall we switch to our picks for next year?
Yeah, let's do it.
Next June. Top 10.
So to me, we're starting off with the most exciting pick, the top 10, because I expect 3 wild cards here. But let's see what we get. Who do you guys have somebody coming up or somebody dropping down?
Are we gonna do a snake from the bottom to the top, or are we just all gonna fill it in, or what are we gonna do? Snake it. Okay. All right. I'm on the left-hand side.
Let's do it.
I think number 10 is the hardest. I failed with Sarin last time. And I just say for number 10, it's either going to be Sindarov, Sadwani, or Murzin. I don't know which of those it's going to be, but simply because Sindarov, they're all 19 years old. Just because Sindarov is the closest, and I know it's so hard to gain points, I'm putting Sindarov at number 10.
Wow.
I will tell you that never in their career, not just next year, never in their career will Murzin or Sadwani be in the top 10.
Interesting.
Ever.
Say more. Why is that, dude?
Shots fired.
What? Well, it's just the number of people they have to compete with who will be in the top 10. There's just people who are more talented than them.
Okay. And you think Sindarov has a chance?
I think Sindarov has a small chance to ever be in the top 10, but I will not say categorically he won't be.
All right. Who's your number 10, Baus?
Okay. My number 10 is Hans Niemann.
Get the hell out of here, buddy. I'm going to double down on what you just said. I will guarantee you that Niemann never makes the top 10. He's never going to make the top 10.
Okay, like he's gone up 48 points in the last year, and now he's 20 points away. I know that's a surge. I feel like that's a tough call, just like your call on Firouzja last year. But I mean, you're giving me guys who are under 2,700. I mean, you should ask if Raunak Sadwani will ever be over 2,700, not if he'll be in the top 10.
Sindarov is 2,710, my friend. So it's
I know, but like Sadwani, I'd give like a 60 ish percent chance to ever be 2,700. Merzen similar, 60 to
Oh my
70%
God, dude,
chance
so
to be
pessimistic.
2,700.
Of all the
Right.
people, yeah.
They're not going to go up 60 points in a year. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Kosi, who do you got, buddy?
Well, it's a long year. Let's just say, by the way, since so we are of course doing this with like the official June list, but then Norway was of course counted after June. Also, Arvind has broken into the top 10, so
Hmm.
yeah,
we should just mention him. We had a little debate whether we include Arvind or not, like in our
yeah,
in our rankings, because I guess he did well in this tournament in Armenia that's taking place or maybe finishing up.
yeah. He and Prague were just both playing this round robin.
Yeah, exactly. So kudos to him. Actually, very exciting. I remember when he was coming up back in the day. He's a little bit older than the other Indian prodigies. He's 25, but good to see him have a breakthrough.
It's
Um,
and by the way, I think it's inspirational. Like normally at 25, you're not going to, break it all of a sudden into this top 10,
yeah,
Yeah,
Like actually if you look at the top 10 and ask yourself who made it to the top 10 after they were 20, there's not that many people. Like you go up the list, like actually Naka made it a little later, into the
yeah,
top 10. I remember that. But basically all those people have been in the top 10 for, since they were kids.
a lot of juniors. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nepo was also late, I would say, late bloomer.
Yeah, okay,
Um,
fair, yeah.
I'm just looking at 2700 chess, and apparently the delta for Arvind is 74. I think he's gained 74 points in the last year or so,
Yeah, it's
yeah. That's
amazing.
which
correct.
is phenomenal. Also, someone who's gained a ton is Vladimir Fedoseev, gained 54 points
Yeah,
at the age of 30. I listened to a podcast with him recently, with Greg Mustreater. That was very interesting, and he basically said like, yeah, I just had to stop playing those opens.
Uh-huh.
His rating slowly started drifting up. Okay, so my number 10 pick was going to be because a lot of these players feel like they might be sliding down and you kind of want someone on the way up. So I was just looking at whoever's outside the top 10 and young.
yeah,
And first kid I see, age 21, number 20, Hans Niemann. So
What?
yeah.
I'm going
Logical,
Niemann.
logical.
Unbelievable.
I think no, I think he actually has chances. I mean, he's been going up. He's playing a lot of these matches. He's farming people. And I think he can make it to the top 10, via just like these matches, just playing guys like Geary, So, Aronian, and picking up points off of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Also, I mean, like more and more at the top, blitz chess and puzzle rush and other things are becoming predictors. Bullet, hyper bullet are becoming predictors of who really has top tier talent and like ends up in the top players in the world, right? And yeah, I mean, I just logged on to Twitter this morning and he won Title Tuesday, beating back to back Naka and Magnus.
Mm.
I just think he has top tier talent. So
Okay. Okay.
good pick, coach. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he keeps rising. And then number 9, I have Nepo.
Oh, interesting.
And so okay, right now I just Arvind, I feel like he might be like an Adiban where he shoots up.
Mhm.
He's like this really interesting fresh player, but then I don't know if he's gonna stay in the top 10. So
Hear you. I hear
yeah.
you. Those are the toughest calls to make. I made a lot of calls like those last year, that like they would just hang on for another year. And
But yeah,
then,
Nepo, I think he's still very much a fantastic player. So as long as he plays, I think he can stay in it.
yeah. And a lot of players shoot up and then like people adjust to them, right? And they get a
Mhm.
little dip. Like you break into the top 20 or 30 and then they take notice. They figure out what your weaknesses are. They prep for you instead of, just being like, whatever, I'll play something against the kid. They prep for you and then you have some bad times.
Right.
It happened to Adibon a little bit. Um, Nevertheless, I will put Nepo as slipping out of the top 10 myself, and I'm putting Aravind here in ninth place. So
Whoa.
basically, my read here on Aravind, right, is that he shot up like crazy
You could say, oh, he's just going to keep shooting up. I think no. I think there's like some limit. You don't come up at age 25 and then make number one or number two in the world. Um, so I think he's kind of reached about where he's going to get, but I also don't think he's going to crash and burn, right? So I'm picking kind of like a middle ground that I feel like he's catapulted himself to about where he should be, and maybe some ups and downs. So he could be number 13 or 14 next year easily, but I'm going to guess ninth place for him.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really hard these bottom ones are the hardest. Um, I don't know. This one's hard, but I'm gonna put Firouzja at number 9. And as a fan of the kid, I hope he pulls it together and gets higher. But I haven't seen the fire, and he's not playing as much as I would like him to play. So I'm putting him at number 9 there.
His
Um,
fire seems to come and go, right? Like sometimes you see it and sometimes you don't.
right, right. I think actually a big question for him is he's going to try, I'm sure, to qualify in these events that are coming up. And so that'll be a big question mark, obviously, if he makes it or not.
To see what kind of effort and passion he puts into that.
Yeah. Okay. And then I got Aravind at number 8. It's very hard for me to judge. I can imagine this kid is on such a upward swing that he's even higher than that. But to me, as a fan, I don't even know. He's a really unknown quantity for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really been tested at the super high level yet, right?
Right.
And it's kind of the same way that Arjun he had his first huge tournament here in Norway just now, even though he's near the top in the world.
Yeah. All right. My picks in general are always boring to me. Jesse sometimes thinks they're more interesting than I do. But uh, you know, Aravind, then Firouzja for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, Obviously there's the possibility for him to keep going up, but I feel like he almost like missed his moment to be world champion, like right when Magnus thought that he could do it, and then he started saying like, well, I'm interested in two things, not one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just slipped, and then there's these guys who are only like 3 or 4 years younger than him, but there's such a pack of talented kids. Obviously, you guys know who I'm going to rank above him, right? So I'm not like spoiling things too much by saying that, the generation of players who are approximately the age of Abdusattorov, right? Like they were a couple years behind Firouzja, and they caught up, and none of them has a second career. And I don't know. Like I think Firouzja has something special, but these guys have outworked him now, I guess I would say, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like talented as he might be, good as he might be, the odds are mildly against him resurpassing younger players at this point, who all seem to be really like stable and like clear on what they want to be doing. So I'm going to leave him right where he is. I don't see anyone else coming out of left field and gaining 20, 30 points and surpassing him. And I do believe he has incredible skill and talent, but it would be, yeah, I could see him passing one of the kids by random chance, one good or bad tournament towards the end of the year, but on average, I wouldn't expect him to surpass any of them.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I've got Firouzja at 8 as well. I feel like, he's not over the hill yet, guys. Okay, he's still 21. Arjun is also 21. Um, but but yeah, it's hard to bet on him over Prague and the others. They feel like they've got that spark in their eyes a bit more.
Yeah.
Firouzja does often tweet out cryptic things, and so I feel like that means he still has some motivation for chess. So I'm pulling for him.
Yeah.
Well,
And
what's
then
interesting to me already in you guys' list is by putting Nepo in there, you have to leave somebody amazing out of that, what I consider the leading pack. So it'll be interesting to see who you leave out.
oh yeah, no, I've given it away. I think Arvind is a bit too much of a wild card.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's Yeah, I could see him still going up, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So okay, number 7 for me is gonna be Prague. Although at this point I feel like the top 7 is a big toss up. Also we were talking about this I think a little bit before the pod, but it's very relevant for our list. So how many games do you need to stay on the list active during the year? Do we actually know this number?
Well, let's ask the Gemini.
Might only be 10 to 12. I don't think it's an amazing number. I
Yeah.
don't even think it's as high as 15. Like Norway chess might have been enough for anyone you're wondering about.
Yeah, basically like that would be my that would be the only reason to leave Magnus off the list is if he's like just totally off the list. But we were saying he might play some league games, we got
Yeah.
Norway chess, so that would be hopefully that's enough to keep
Oh,
him
they
on.
just need to play. Okay, at least Gemini is just one game in a year.
I think Gemini's wrong.
Maybe they're wrong. I don't know. That's just what it says.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
well,
but personally, Coach, yeah, I would guess it's between 10 and 12, and I think that you could assume they'll all be there.
yeah. Yeah, Magnus is gonna make it. Alrighty, David number 7.
Okay. Number 7, Abdusattorov. No comment. Very good player.
Well, okay, since I'm following up on you, I'm going to also have Abdu here. And I think it's mildly controversial in the sense that the kid is so strong. And last year, I think I had him a little higher.
Mhm.
And so it's surprising to me that I have him at 7. And it's just because the 6 above him seems so strong. But I have little misgivings in my bottom of my stomach being like, obviously he's going to be higher than 7. But, I have arguments for the people above him too.
It's just, yeah, it's just so crowded at the top at this point, right? I'm not,
Yeah.
by putting him exactly where he is, I'm not saying anything bad about him. I just don't see him passing anyone right now.
So also the next one is hard to do. I'm putting Aragaisi in here. Also a hard one to do. Aragaisi, as of the very moment, is in 4th. Lost a couple of points in Norway. He was 3rd before Norway. And again, he's a real wild card because he hasn't played, as we said, a lot of tournaments like Norway. And so uh, I, it seems illogical for me to put him so low, but just when I'm looking at the list, that's what I got.
Yeah. Okay. This is my most controversial remaining pick, I guess, is a little slide for Fabi.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're only talking, maybe he goes down 10 FIDE points or 5 FIDE points, but the others gain 5 or 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and obviously he just had a good showing in Norway. I don't think he got lucky. I think he earned it. He's still playing with fire as well. It's not a situation like with Nep or so where I feel like they're just sort of slowly drifting down with some draws and coasting.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing with great fire. Very, very fun player to watch right now. Very, very fun to watch. But I feel like Prague, Gukesh, and Aragaisi are all getting better all the time. I
And
mean, those players are getting better all the time, and so they have to pass somebody. We're only talking 10 rating points, so
and one of the things about Fabi is his rating, I think, fluctuates more than most players. Like last year, he was 2805. He's gone through several bits where he's gone above 2800, way above 2800, and then fallen and then come back. So very
Mhm.
hard to judge where that kid's going to land.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my take. I apologize to Fabi for it, but
Yeah.
hey, if I were you, I wouldn't stay ahead of those Indian kids either.
Um, okay. Yeah, this is tough. I mean, this is just pure guessing at this point. Um, and oof, ooh, it's tricky. It's tricky. Okay, number 6. I think I'm gonna go Arjun. Um, Pure guess. I think any of these players could be like 2 through 6, basically, at this point.
Mhm.
And actually, for me, yeah, the two biggest questions are Naka and Fabi, because the others, it seems like they're gonna at least keep their level or possibly go up. And then Naka, it seems like the more he plays, the more he'll give up points, you would think. The question is, how much is he gonna play? He might not play that much, and then might not go down that much. He might try to stay above 2,800. But if he plays more, then I think, yeah, he's very, very possibly gonna lose points. Fabi, I feel like, is still in really good shape, and I think he could gain a lot of points in something like the World Cup or the Grand Swiss. So I'm not too worried
They're in the 2780 to 2800 range.
Mhm.
So I think we're talking, at least a 5 to 10 point improvement for Prague this year,
Yeah, okay, so I'll follow on that. And
maybe 20.
I, you know, when you start to ask yourself, Prague, Aragaisi, Abdu, who's going to be in the lead? Who knows? But one of the things that stands out for me for Prague is he's the clear favorite to win this FIDE circuit event. So that means he's on the path to playing the next candidates. And I think, like a lot of his, like Gukesh, he's going to have a team around him who are just going to be very organized in the way that Gukesh's team was. And like Firouzja, I don't think has a team like that, as an example. Nepo doesn't have a team like that. So it's a whole organization behind these players, especially when they catch fire and have a chance to play in the candidates. So I think he's going to have a whole engine of improvement. And of course, the kid's just 19, you know. So yeah, amazing. And then I got burned with Naka last time, but I'm going to put him here. And honestly, it's the same reasons as last year. Okay. He's not working on his game. So I'm like, how can he stay where he is? It's very, very, the whole, even though Naka's the one on this list I've played against, talked to, Kaido, as a player, he's still an enigma to me. If I thought he was playing more chess, I would put him below Prague. I would just think the guy's going to sink if he plays a bunch of chess, but he's not. He's just going to play a couple games. Uh, and we think about it, the candidates tournament is not even going to be until after our next list, right? Or it's going to be when? That's a good question,
No,
actually.
it'll probably be in, April.
I think, yeah, next spring, so it
I
should
think
hit
Right.
before.
So we don't know exactly when it's going to be, but anyways, I'm going to put him at number 4. Could be, I could well see Prague passing him. I got burned last time, so it's almost like I'm not learning my lesson.
Well, you dropped him a little bit less, but
Yeah.
I'm still going to take my turn here to point out that currently the live gap between Naka and
Uh-huh.
Gukesh is 30 points.
Yeah.
So that's really a noticeable prediction. Like Jesse's making a bold prediction here, right or wrong. I think
It's
a
a lot.
30-point move is pretty bold.
Hmm.
And I'm guessing, Jesse, you expected more to be a small slide from Naka, and you're pumped on Gukesh going up rather than you think that Naka's going to tank 30, 40 points in a year.
I think he'll probably tank 15 to 20 points. Yeah.
Okay, so about half the distance from his
Yeah.
side.
Something like that. It's
Uh,
hard to say. But honestly, it depends a lot on how much he plays.
yeah.
I have a feeling he doesn't have. I think he has to play a couple more games to get the rating spot, and then he has to play in the candidates before our next thing. So, Yeah, no, I think he's going to slide.
Okay. All right. My fourth pick is Gukesh, respecting the current gap between him and Naka and Magnus, of course. So for me, Gukesh and Prague and Fabi, they all had to be somewhere between third and sixth place. And trying to guess which kid was going to gain more points was tough. So yeah, kind of a toss up for me between my third through sixth places. I think Gukesh will have a good result at some point this year, and play well. Maybe improve on his time management. Maybe improve on his opening repertoire. No, he's a fantastic player. But yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. For number four, I'm going Fabi. And then number three, I got Naka. And yeah, I think you guys have already made the key points here. Like, they're both very good. I think Fabi is in good shape because he's qualified for the candidates, so he can kind of like play freely and just keep killing everybody. And then Nakamura, I think, should go down a little bit. I just wanted him. I just want him to play. But yeah, it's kind of amazing how he manages to stay above 2800. But I do feel like yeah, I feel like Gukesh will overtake him at some point. Gukesh just seems like such a sure thing right now. It's hard to bet against him.
Amazing. Yeah, so I mean, historically for me, generally when I root for somebody, like I want them to do even better than is realistic, right? So it's very rare for someone I root for to outperform my hopes and expectations and so forth, right? And seeing you and Jesse rate Gukesh really highly makes me very happy and excited that he will continue to exceed my expectations. But he has done so far as well. He's been one of the few examples of somebody who I'm like, I really want them to win, and then somehow they win even more than I want. So it's very, very exciting for him. But as you guys know, I put Aragaisi here because to me, Naka's going to stay over 2,800, and it's possible, certainly possible for Gukesh, Aragaisi, or even Prague to break 2,800 this year. But I would say like 90% of the time they end the year somewhere in the 2,780 to 2,799 range next June. Maybe 10% chance that they crack, that they're over 2,800 specifically on the June 1st list. So yeah, so I think Naka's going to hold his rating. I guess that's like the main point of this, right? Is I think these guys will go up, 20 points or so. And Naka's rating just never goes down. I understand there's a certain logic by which he should drop a little bit, but then there's also a certain element of science where you look at what's happened and you use that to infer what might happen in the future, and he just is going up. So I'm going to predict Naka to be 28-10 next year. Go in second place.
Dang.
Okay. I'm going to put Fabi at third. And that could go. Fabi, I think, as I said, can very much fluctuate. He's still playing good chess. I think when you think about it from his perspective, this is his last shot at the title, right? He had one shot before, and then he's to win this candidates tournament. I definitely think he's going to be working hard at it. Um, but he could land anywhere because he'll continue to play a lot. Maybe he's playing too much, arguably, right? And I think he's going to continue to fight, still be third place. And then, of course, the most controversial, I guess, I'm going to guess Coach is in the same spot as me, but I'm putting Gukesh at number two. And I just think that Gukesh, that the deficiencies in his chess, especially to do with time usage and to a certain extent the openings, are some of the most fixable parts of anybody's game. And once he fixes those, the talent that he has as a calculator is and a fighter is just going to shine through. I would say if Carlsen played more, I would put him at number one because I don't think Carlsen, at least with his current attitude and training, is going to be able to stay there. But just in terms of math, yes, in terms of math, I can't, if Carlsen plays his 3 Bundesliga games and, that's it until next Norway, or maybe he doesn't even play next Norway, it's hard to see how he's going to lose that rating.
Again, if you look at their deltas for the last year, you'll see that just like Naka, Magnus has gone up this year. So.
Uh-huh.
Hey, David, you're number 2.
Oh, sorry. Holding things up. Who did I have here? Nakamura, of course. Yeah, Nakamura holding his own, as I said. On to you, Coast 2.
Okay, for my number 2, I got Magnus Carlsen. No, I got Gukesh. Gukesh at 2, Magnus at 1. Gukesh, I feel like, yeah, he's gonna shoot up. It's just a matter of time. He's just too good. And yeah, I expect him to be over 2,800 by this time next year. I think he's gonna make it. I think Carlsen is gonna stay 28, 30 something probably. And
David, give me the argument where Erigaisi is above Gukesh.
Okay. So you've explained, and I agree with you, how Gukesh could improve and work on his time management problem, right? He could work on his problems. I agree. They're fixable. But Erigaisi already doesn't have those problems, right? So like you're betting on somebody to fix his problems. I'm betting on somebody who already doesn't have those problems, who literally gives those problems to other people, right? Erigaisi's time management, you could throw some of his games into your algorithm and see what you think, or you could analyze them with your own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I think his time management is like it's an active weapon. It's an active weapon. Like he picks these spots to think ahead several moves and to prepare some kind of, idea or something like a surprise a little bit down the road. And then he like plays very quickly for several moves, puts his opponents in time trouble, like hits them with something when they can't deal with it. He switches up his openings to put more pressure on their clock already in the opening by being unpredictable with his openings. Like he's figured out a whole arsenal of weapons and tools, and he's just like out to get you from the beginning. What does he lack? Experience playing against top 5 players, right? That's maybe if we were to say what does Arjun not have? Because he has a little bit of everything. He's got great chess intuition, positional knowledge and instincts, great calculator, great fighter, very quick in his calculations. Um, there was this insane moment at the end of Norway Chess when he played his game with Fabi, where Fabi was slowly grinding him down and like about to beat him, and he found like this wild chance to get counterplay and maybe hold the game. And then he just found this like disturbing H5 pawn sacrifice and ends up winning the game off of a Fabi blunder that he helps to generate very much himself generating. And I think that just shows like how fast he is at calculation because they both gotten kind of low on time and he just straight up outcalculated Fabi, who is like a very decent, top 5 in the world calculator. And he just completely outcalculated him there, even given that he was the one who had to come up with an idea and Fabi had to be like, okay, I know this guy just tried to calculate an idea. I think Arjun's kind of got all the skills,
Okay.
um he plays a lot, he improves, he fights hard, and then he'll just get better with some more experience against the top players. One thing to know about Arjun's his parcours, his like sort of path, his chess career path compared to some of the other guys is that he was always 2 to 3 years older than Prague or Gukesh or Abdusattorov or Sindarov or those kind of people as far as like hitting various milestones, right? Whether it be IM, GM, 2600, 2700, stuff like that, right? He was always a little bit behind. And I think he always had a little bit less opportunities just because when people were like, who's the future world champion? Who do we invite that's like an exciting new player to these events, right? Like they just never picked him. Maybe because he was 2 years older, maybe some other reason that I don't know, you know? But he's gotten less like opportunities and less top tier experience. And so, I think he can get maybe a bit better now that he's getting to play more of the top 5 players. It might push him to get a little bit better. It may also require some readjustments on his risk taking. He might have to adjust the bar a little bit because he's used to playing a different level of player. But I think he's pretty good at figuring stuff out like that, right? Like how to use your time, what risks to take, which opening is too bad or not too bad. How difficult is it going to be for somebody to solve a certain problem you give them, right? Because sometimes when you play an opening surprise, you're kind of checking on somebody's ability to handle a certain puzzle, right? You're saying, do I think that Abdusattorov has a 50% or a 70% chance of solving this puzzle if I give it to him, right? That's kind of what you're figuring out. Or you're like, oh, here I can ask them 3 different puzzles that are each this level of difficulty, So I think he's generally pretty good at figuring that stuff out and calibrating and making life hard for other people. So that's what I got for you on him. I mean, I'm not like convinced that he's going to be higher than Gukesh, right? Like,
I understand.
Whatever, 53% chance that he's higher, 47% chance that Gukesh is higher, but that's at least a few words on Arjun's strength, which I don't think anyone should deny.
Yeah, no, Arjun's good. Arjun's good. He's
Arjun's good.
just a monster.
You did both slightly bet against him in your rankings here, I see. Because you put him sort of like, obviously like 3 through 6 or 2 through 6 is very close for us. But you did kind of, when you had to flip a coin, you guys put him sort of at the bottom of your equals.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like 60-40 in favor of Gukesh versus Arjun. I just feel like once you have the title, it's like you have like more resources and more I don't know. I feel like you just have like easier purpose. Arjun, of course, still has to work hard to get there. I don't know. He's kind of a total wild card actually for me. Because he's clearly super, super talented.
Kind of has been for everyone for a while.
One of the things I think is important to see that Gukesh is, I feel, changing the game is when you think back on like the Soviet times and the teams that were behind, say, Karpov or Kasparov, they were epic organizations. And like Magnus, in the era of Magnus, he didn't have it. Other players didn't have it. Magnus mostly working alone. And Gukesh is really bringing that back. I mean, one of the things when I say I believe in Gukesh, I believe in his team. That guy's got a great team, Yeah, so that's another reason. I'm sure Erigaisi has a team. I'm sure Prague now does too. But it's just a whole engine that Gukesh is going to have behind him in terms of resources. David, are you calibrating our dojo average, or what are we going to do that?
Yeah, it looks like we got some
I think
mathematics happening.
At the top 8.
Yeah, we did top 8 last year. We could do top 8
calibrated here, which is reasonable. The other player I could add into here would be Arvind, who's named twice. He's going to be our 9, I guess, and Niemann, I guess we can put as 10th since he got 2 votes there.
All right, so I'm going to slide it over. See if I'm capturing it correctly. Yeah, it looks good. So for people listening, we have Carlson number 1. That's not surprising. Caruana number 2. Gukesh number 3.
Well, no, not yet. Hold on.
Oh, not yet.
The numbers are there, but it's not ordered yet.
They're not sorted.
Excuse me.
Jesse, you can do something for me real quick. Give me a guess as to Hans Niemann's world rank next year.
A guess?
Yeah. Kosti, I just guessed for you that you would put Arvind around number 11.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just being reasonable because you're reasonable.
Yeah, cool.
I think Niemann will be around 20, 25 in the world next year.
He's 20th now, so you think he might slide a little?
Yeah.
All right, we'll put 22 for you.
Okay.
All right, and now let's try and get them in order. So
David, you have where did you go to like community college to learn Google Docs, buddy? Because you're like, I think with Google Docs, you're like a 2400, dude. You got pretty good skills when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, so I'll read them out slowly as he's going from top to bottom. We have Carlson in first, Gukesh in second. There we go, Dojo. That's a bold claim, Dojo. That's a bold claim, Mr. Dojo. And then we got Naka in third. And David's still working on the other ones here.
here comes number 4 for you.
I think looks like Caruana will be 4.
Really? I have this wrong here. His average. Oh my God, I've got it wrong.
No, you're okay. I'll put Caruana in, but then we have and I think Eric Geisy in 5,
Flip Aragaisi in Prague here, real quick.
Prague in 6, and Noterbeck in 7. Whew,
Thank you.
just the kids.
Okay, so yeah, so that's interesting. Let's look at these averages
Wait,
now.
but isn't Firouzja in there? Because me and Kosti both.
Oh
have
yeah,
Firouzja.
Dave, you might want to do a control Z because I think you put Abdusattorov over Firouzja.
Sorry, Firouzja should be below here, right?
Firouzja was number 8, and then
Okay.
Abdu's 7. Yeah, there we go.
Well, one topic that David wanted to do at some point was, can Niemann become world champion? We clearly have some contentious thoughts there. Maybe we will do that one. Maybe we will do that talk.
Yeah, it's a good time. Okay, so I guess we'll see folks back here for next June 2026 to see how well our picks lined up.
Yeah, and hang on, folks. If you want us to still be doing these talks in June 2026, we're going to need a few patrons here. Okay, we've got a Patreon that's designed to support all the free content we do, the podcast, streams on Twitch and YouTube, quality instructional videos on YouTube, maybe some non-quality instructional videos on YouTube. All that free content needs to be supported by a few patrons. So, Jesse doesn't even want to do an episode with us about will Hans Niemann become world champion. So why don't 10 of you become patrons? And that'll convince Jesse to do another episode with Kosti and I and talk about Niemann's top 10 or top 1 potential.
There we go. All right. Yeah. And you can come in to our Patreon and suggest topics, vote on topics. We got it all happening there on our Patreon.
Yeah. Come in and suggest that topic. Will Hans Niemann be world champion? Let Jesse know that people find that to be an interesting topic.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, yo.
All right.
That'll do it.
Bye.